with where the property has been left and you're not sure how to go about getting your legal rights, putting you on that legal footing, we want you to just feel free and to ask whatever question you so desire to ask. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Yes, put your hands together. Bless the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord again, everybody.
Thank you, Jesus.
Sorry about that. I was under the impression that I would have presented second, so I left my laptop in the car. But I will continue. I pretty much know most of the things that I have planned to say. Everybody hear me clearly?
Yes.
So, my name is Diane Gordon. I am a commissioned land surveyor. I'm also a civil and a structural engineer as well. Finished my degree in civil engineering since this year, so I graduated in November. So I'm also a civil and a structural engineer as well. Okay, I will be presenting mainly on the surveying part of the whole legal aspect of getting your title. Yes, my brother here, Mr. Fraser, will be dealing with the legal aspect of it. What I pretty much wanted to talk to you about today was, the first thing was the type of surveys. One of the things that I realized is that a lot of persons have the misconception that there's just one type of survey. So for example, a client might call and they ask for a survey and you might say, what kind of survey you need? And the client might ask the stone because they just believe that there's just one type of survey. So that's the first thing that I would like to clear up first. So usually when that happens, the commission surveyor will then ask the question, what do you need a survey for? Based on that reason, they will be able to determine what type of survey you need. So firstly, there is about 6 types of surveys, and it's based on the different purpose, as I said. So the first type of survey, which is the one that most persons are familiar with, is cadastral survey, or most persons might call it boundary survey. So that is the survey that you do in order to get a diagram. Most persons call it diagram, and that is what is used to get a title. So you get that diagram, you will provide that diagram along with some other documents to the attorney, and they will do an application, and within 6 to 9 months, you will get your title. Alright, so that's the first type of survey. The other type of survey, which is also common, is called a surveyor's ID report. Now, that type of survey is generally what is required for mortgage when somebody is trying to borrow a loan from the bank. So that is the survey that is usually required. It's pretty much long and short of it is a check. So the bank is going to lend somebody some money. The rationale behind it is that the bank want to be able to quickly dispose your property in the event that you can't pay the loan. That's really the long and short of it. So they ask for this report because they don't want to have any breaches to deal with. So that is why if you do a surveyor's report and there's any breach, they will tell you that you have to clear this first before they give you the loan, because they want to be in a position to quickly sell your property to reclaim what you have borrowed. So that is the second type of survey. Those 2 surveys are pretty much, we encompass pretty much what I'll be going through today. The rest will be just head knowledge, because they will be more linked to the legal aspect. The other survey, you have engineering survey, which is generally done for the setting out of building, roads, for construction purpose. There's also topographic survey, which is usually requested by like an architect or an engineer. That is usually done for the purpose of designing and building. So if you're thinking about building a 2-story or 3-story, or even a 1-story building, especially if the place is not flat, the architect will generally require that to do a topography survey so that you use it for designing. So they might do like some split levels, and they might position the house a certain way to better utilize the land. You also have what is called hydrographic survey, which is generally done by persons that are in the port area. So they want to, it's pretty much a topography survey of the sea, which involves knowing the depth, because they want to know that the ships that are coming in, they can dock on the port and they don't get damaged, because ships are quite expensive, so they don't want any damage. So they do this type of survey so they can do drenching. That's drenching is in terms of like clearing the seafloor, just to ensure that the ship comes in. And the other type of survey, which is typically usually done in corporate areas, is strata. So somebody have an high-rise building, they build some apartments, and they want to do a splinter title to give everybody their title. So that is it in a nutshell. But as I said, we will be focusing primarily on the two main type of survey, will be relevant to most persons that are here, which is cadastral survey and surveyors ID report. So for cadastral survey, what is typically requested of the surveyor, they will ask you for the tax receipt. Why they ask for the tax receipt is just to do some research on the area that your property is, to be able to find it, and to also know if there's any title effect on your property. And they use that information to serve notice to the adjoining owners. So sometimes they might do it using that tax receipt, or they might just ask it for the adjoining owners, depending on which one is easier. Especially if it's in a rural area, it might be difficult to get that information, so they might ask for it. So this is something that is very critical in knowing. Not a lot of surveys do it, and it is not well known by the public. But in order for a surveyor to do a survey, it's a legal requirement that they serve notice. So if somebody is doing a survey that adjoins your property and you did not get a notice, you have good legal grounds to tell them that no, you can't do the survey over my section because I did not get any notice. Yes. So I hope that is clear. That is clear? Yes. So after the notice is served, this usually done, they come to do the survey on the day that is in the notice. They usually just mark the boundaries based on instructions, plan, and other things. Depending on the size of the vegetation, that might determine as to how long the survey takes. But generally, like an acre, unless there's some unforeseen circumstance, that should usually take about 2 to 3 days to do the field work part of it. Naturally, it might extend probably more because of what, it's a business, and sometimes they might come and see some unforeseen circumstance. And what would have happened, they probably would have already planned for other survey for the entire week. So they start years and they have some challenge. They probably can't come back for the next 2 weeks. But so a reasonable time period to give them would be a 2-month period. So it should be expected that after 2 months, the work should be finished and the plan should be submitted. Usually, how you know that the plan is submitted, once the plan is submitted to NLA, it gets what is called a PE number. So if you call the surveyor and say, hey, can I have my PE number so I can check on it? If they cannot produce that PE number, it means that the plan has not been submitted. Okay, so that's an additional set of information that is not really known by the public, but it will be very useful. So you can know if the surveyor kind of carry a wide and do the work but it don't finish the plan. If they cannot produce a PE number, the plan has not been submitted. Yes, so once the plan is submitted, the challenge that is happening now is that there is a lot of backlog in NLA. So one time they used to have like something that is called like an express service. You pay extra money like a $10,000, you can get the plan out in a week. But because of the backlog, they don't have that service anymore. And truth to be told, the backlog is somewhat kind of politics, to be honest, because they do some kind of reforming and restructuring of the organization. So what happened? It renders persons that were doing the job for umpteen years, as one people would say, no, not qualified. So they pretty much have to leave the position, and they can't get persons to replace that position. So you have a whole heap of plans are coming, and not a lot of persons to check it. So there is some politics involved in that. So as it stands now, it is advised that we tell clients that when they submit a plan, our reasonable turnaround time is 6 months. You can get it before, but it would be unwise to expect it to get it back in less than 6 months. So 2 months for the survey and 6 months for the plan. You already are looking at 8 months. All right. Now we're going to look into the cost aspect. Generally, 1 acre property should run you about between 90 to 100,000 for an acre, depending on which survey. After that, they usually go up at a smaller increments. For example, 100,000 for anything under an acre. So an acre and under is 1 flat fee. And then when you start to go up after a year, they might charge, like say, 60,000 per acre after. So like a 1.5 acre, you look on half of 60 is 130, 90 and 30 is 120. Yeah, so you look on like 120. Somewhere between 120 and 150, depending on the survey that is going on. Alright, so you might ask, why is it important to get my property survey? What that does, and I am sure my good friend Fraser will elaborate on that some more, is that it gives you, in Jamaica, by law, you cannot obtain a title for a property unless it is surveyed. And what the title does, it gives you state guarantee. That means unless it can be proven that you came or you got this land by fraud, the name that is on the title, it is what is deemed as a person that owns the land in any spirit. So that now gives you the position, get you in the position now to, you can dispose of it as if you want, you can sell it, you can transfer it, you can go and get a mortgage and all of that. And I would strongly recommend persons, especially we are coming from an area where a lot of persons have a lot of family, especially in the rural area, where you have a lot of family and they just say, all right, you take that 1 square, you take that 1 square, you take that 1 square. I would strongly recommend that it is formalized, because what I am seeing now, especially in Portland, people own a family, a fight over land, and people are killing own a family over land. So it might not be an issue for you in this generation, but you do not know if the next generation will have a problem. So it's easier to just get it surveyed and everybody have their paper, knowing that this is my piece, that is my piece, that is my piece. So it saves a lot of problems in the future. So that, I would say, that would be it in a nutshell for cadastral survey. I'll just quickly move to surveyor's report. And as I said before, a surveyor's report is just pretty much a check. The bank wants to just make sure so everything is alright, so they can give you the loan. So if you forfeit the loan, you can sell the property. One of the things that I really want to highlight for surveyor's report, that is a common problem now among us as a people, is the whole aspect of restricted covenants. A lot of persons don't know what is a restricted covenant and what's the purpose of restricted covenants. And what happens is that when they start to know what it is when they're in a serious position. They want a loan, probably a family died, and they want to contribute towards the funeral. They may have a son or a daughter that they need some money for to pay their school fee and all of that. And the shocking reality, now is to be told that they can't get the loan because they violated some restricted covenants that they're completely aware of. They probably don't even know of a thing called restricted covenants. So just to put it out there so persons that are in this room don't make this mistake. In general, a restricted covenants is like a rule or a restriction, if you may, that is imposed on your title. So it might tell you that you cannot do so and so with your property. So you can do it, however, if you do it, there is consequence. The parish council can tell you that, for example, if you build a multi-story building, and this is an extreme one, so you build like some apartments and a multi-family that is on the type it said should only be single family. The parish council does have the power to tell you to leave the building, and you will waste all of that money only to have the building lit down and you can't do anything about it. But the common one that is causing a problem that I really want to highlight quickly, seeing that my time is short, is the one that is called setback. It is generally a problem with many homeowners. So what it says is that you cannot build more than X, Y, Z, for example, 5 feet, 10 feet from the boundary. What happens is that the misunderstanding is that if the covenant does not specifically say that for this purpose, the eave shall not be considered a part of the building, the eave is considered a part of the building. So what happens, a lot of person, they get like a draftsman, somebody had a little drawing and all of them things there, and they do a building plan, and they don't consider the eave as part of the building. So they do it, and they have the setback, and they build the house now, and the eave come over. And then sometimes some persons have some fancy eave, because we're living in an era now where everything kind of modernized and fancy. So what happened now, when the surveyor go out there and do the report, the building is alright, but the eave is in breach. Now, the bank is not going to give you a loan unless you do one of two things. It's either you have to cut off the eave, especially if it's fancy. Can you imagine you have to cut off all of that eave and do a new survey report, or you're going to have to do what is called a covenant modification, which is a phrase that here a specialty. Yes, both of which is very expensive. Especially the latter one, it's very time consuming, because that can take how long to a couple months, probably about a year.
Year to 2 years.
A year to 2 years. So imagine your daughter wants to go to university. This is your only option, and you can't get a loan for 2 years because you were ignorant of something as simple as this. Yes, so it is. There's many more, but this is one that is commonly done. So just ensure. I also encourage. We're living in the day of things that are cheap, and persons always trying to see the cheaper way out. But I would encourage many of the people of God that are here not to take that approach. The cheaper way out can provide itself to be very, very expensive in the long run. Seek professionals, persons that are certified. It will save, especially if you don't know them. If you know them, it's a little bit different, and you'll be able to judge their character. But especially if you don't know them, seek professional in terms of doing their job. I will close with this last story. I remember some time ago, I was working with a surveyor. I didn't get my commission at the time. And there was this lady that bought a piece of land in Trelawny. So she's overseas, and she's building this huge property. So she built like this huge wall first, and the plan was to build the property after. So she probably wanted some money now to help to finish the construction. So she contacted the services of a surveyor. bear in mind before she would have a contractor, she used to sell money and then build the wall and do all of them everything. But now she need a loan because she need quick cash and she need to do a survey. Now what happened now is that the survey did the survey's report and there is a breach. So the wall is skewed. So you have part of the wall on another lot and part of it is in the wall. Now what is a very big fancy wall. Now what that means for her now is either one of two things. She would have to purchase the property at the back that the wall is out on, and she have to go lick down a fancy wall. When the lady hear that, the lady does have to go swallow and because any one of those metal is very expensive. And it's so, I love to be honest with myself because I find it ironic because it would have cost her probably about 80 to 100,000 just to get a survey to sell it her. But I don't necessarily blame her because you know the contractor then always try to short change. That's why you have to be careful as I see qualified person. Because a lot of them are just in it for the money. So you have a contractor, I say your money can't set it up and they don't get a survey, they put the survey money in their pocket and all of that. So something that would have cost her 100,000 at most to get right. Now in order to correct it, it's going to cost her millions of dollars. So you don't want to have that reality to deal with, especially when you have an emergency. Somebody there in the hospital and you need some loan right away and you're now finding out that you're doing something right. But you should have that right if you are just contacting the services of a certified person. So I'll stop here in the interest of time and just open the floor to any questions that I can shoot quickly before Mr. Fraser takes the rest. Any questions?
Family member or your family, okay, you say you and you say husband. Okay, you say just trying to think that this is you. That piece of audio is that piece of audio is that and we go about time. And all big I have a piece, right? All we need is for a survey to survey that piece.
That is left by the parents?
Yes. All big it have to be for the survey to survey.
But it can survey any size. It can be even a little strip of land. There's no restriction on the size of land that it can survey. No restriction.
Okay. That's something to tell.
Good afternoon. I was just curious, asking when you said the persons surveying, they have to be professional or they have to be certified. Isn't that all of them is certified, but some decide to do their own thing, you know, to benefit their own needs?
Alright, so what happened is, the reality is what happened is that you might have some persons that they went to school and they get the degree and everything. So they have the competence, some of them have the competence, but it may not necessarily mean that they are qualified. So they haven't gone through the licensing process to become a certified surveyor. So what that means, if they do the work, for example, it's a boundary survey, if they do the work, they cannot sign off on it. Yes, because they are not certified as a surveyor. So what will happen, sometimes those persons, they might have contact with persons that are certified. So they might do it and they might bring it to the survey and the survey sign off on it. But they themselves are not qualified, but they can do it.
That's what I was thinking. If they actually approach or come by your dwelling, there should be some form of identification or something to show that I'm a certified, survey and I can do this and I'm under this law or this, heading. So that's where I was concerned.
Yes, that's where I'm glad you mentioned that because that is definitely something that I wanted to say. All right, so there is, NLA has a website where you can just type in commercial land survey, and it gives you a list of all the commercial land survey. So you can just take their ID, national ID, so can I have a name, and then you can search and see who is commercial or not. Also, they do have a government ID that shows that they're commercial survey. So the public is well within their right to say, show me your ID. Yes.
That's why I know in all constituencies, that's what I really know, that you have to ask for the ID to make sure that they are under, government body or under the law of that title that
Yes, it is well known that they do have that. So what happens sometimes, so they have the list of the commission surveyor, and they have a list of the persons that work with the commission surveyor. Because the person can act under the supervision of the commission.
Thanks, Madam.
Still will work. But the person just cannot act independently of a commission, which that is what sometimes happens. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Question?
Is there any check and balance for the contractor? The contractors that you contract to do any form of work for you, like the lady with the wall. Isn't there some websites here where some check and balance that you can use to find a qualified person that would have done something like that?
Yes, there is also license for persons that are contractors. However, the problem is not necessarily the persons that are the contractor. It's a common tendency for contractors to kind of cut the work. They try to cut corners. Because what happens is that they get to keep that money in their pocket. So some of the things that they might do, so they might bill you for the survey, but they don't do the survey. They just put the survey money in their pocket. Yeah, so that does happen. So it is the best thing that if you have understanding of how the process works, that would be good. However, the best thing that I can advise, especially for somebody that is completely ignorant, is have a contract. So the person is expected to do such and such, and that is signed. So if the person goes outside of that and the contract is breached, then so they are liable to fix it. So if she had done a contract and it's supposed to be so and so, and she could have sued the contractor. Probably the contractor would have rather fly out still, but at the same time she would have had something that she can use to possess.
But what about persons that cannot go the legal way? They can afford a contractor, but they can't afford the lawyer to do the contract. And they may go from their salary monthly, weekly, or what, to pay the contractor to do whatever.
In that sense, it is, we're Christians, so let's hope we are strong believers in prayer. Outside of that, it would definitely be having a good contract. Yes.
But that's just plain dishonesty. You're supposed to have a union or something where you can get true people to work for you.
Yeah. Yes, as I said, they do, but the thing is that persons don't utilize it, because you're supposed to have a license to be a contractor. So they do have that. But the thing is, a lot of persons are not aware of all of those things. And the reality why a lot of persons fall prey to these sort of things is just that they're trying to look the cheaper way. I know of a case where there was some issues with somebody that did a work for a lady and it went to court. There was some draftsman that did some foolishness and it went to court. And she tried to sue her and get back her money. And the judge told her, said, I fear God, she should have ensured that she get qualified persons to do the job. And most of the time, that's what happened. They just try to get the cheaper way, so they get somebody that has spent money because they don't really want to pay the qualified person to do the job. So the judge said, you're not getting the money.
What about the enforcers? There have to be checks and balances, everything. So what about the enforcers?
Yeah,
if you have a union of contractors If somebody must be there to enforce, to go check in work and to make sure you do the right thing and rob poor people.
No, but the thing is that responsibility is left on you. You have to be your due diligence to ensure that this contractor is alright. The government does that. The government have the money and still do that. That's why they bid and they interview and all of that. The government can't afford to take any loss, but they don't do that. They do their due diligence to ensure that the right contractor is selected, and they have to sign contract, and they have to be liable in the event that something goes wrong. We don't do that. Most persons don't do that. That is why they have a problem.
What's the procedure to start with land title?
Alright, so firstly, what is generally advised is that you do a survey. Alright, so when you do the survey and it is approved, you'll get a diagram. You then bring that diagram to the lawyer, and they will ask you for some other things like declaration. The tax will have to be up to date.
I can understand.
Yes, and Benji will go further into that.
Okay,
And
so the land can be surveyed without a land title?
yes, yes, and the purpose of the survey is to get the land title. Yes. Oh, there's one here.
What you are trying to say, the survey is piece of something. It's multiple person by this piece of something. But you got the lot number? Something like that? The survey,
This is an example, something that happened.
yes. But all the person who got this piece of land, they got their number. The person who sell the land died, and the son has to take up the stuff. But it have to go through, yes, it have to go on through, yes.
Okay. Is it a case where there was no title issue for none of the person?
No. But they survey and give you all the numbers, the lot numbers on the piece of paper, like a diagram, to show the boundary.
Okay.
Yes, so how we go with the line and have to build a wall.
Yeah. When Mr. President of the
Yes.
Okay. See, like,
All right, Joseph, I think I have a question that I want to ask. In event of parents handing down, land to their kids and so on, and your dad might say, okay, that piece is for the three of you and all of that. What is expected here? That all three of